Well, my friends, things are getting bad out there, real bad. Sometimes it seems like the wheels are coming off of this presidency, the country, and the entire world. So I thought it would be just wacky good fun if we all acted like progressives for 5 minutes and prayed for someone to save us. If only there was some one person, some charismatic individual we could all rally behind to make things awesome and make reality go away. Or maybe someone whose example could at least get us thinking about what's wrong and what we can do about it. So joining me now are two dreamers who, like the Occupy Wall Street crowd, can imagine no possessions, because that's where we're all headed, and fast, too. Here's Steve Green and Scott Ott. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, lads. A little different structure today, boys. Each of us is going to get a chance to name two people who we'd like to see get us out of this mess that we're in, the only caveat being that there must be absolutely unattainable in the real world due to being either already dead, historical character, or fictional. Scotty, you get to go first. Who do you like for round one?
Well, Bill, you know, when criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, when in this world the headlines read of those whose hearts are filled with greed, who rob and steal from those in need, to right this wrong with blinding speed, well, folks at home, sing along with me now. Speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting those who rob and plunder. Underdog, underdog.
Would have kind of preferred if you told us why you like Underdog, but we'll let that go. Is that your favorite character, by the way, Scotty? Is that your favorite cartoon character?
He is, of all time, and he's just good, and he's got a cute girlfriend.
It's so sad. It is so sad. We'll talk later. Steve, I can't wait. Who have you got for us, buddy?
Well, I'm just going to come out right and say it. Emperor Palpatine.
Okay.
Here's a guy, he knows how to recover from a disaster. You know, you blow up one Death Star that took 10, 20 years to build, and boom, he's got another one ready to go in just 3 years. He's a long-term planner. He looks into the future. He gets right into the minds of the enemies, and he plans accordingly. And he is an excellent manager of people. Employees who perform poorly don't stick around very long, and he's got a real eye for talent. He can take some young kid, see what this kid can become, and help nurture that boy's talents year after year until he finally becomes the person Palpatine always knew he could become. We could use that kind of man right here in America. That is, you know, if I were a liberal.
And he's a former senator, just like our current president.
That's true.
My first round draft pick is Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, and here's why. First of all, he's a leader. He doesn't go bowing to Klingons and apologizing to the Romulans. He'd send photon torpedoes, not diplomatic cables, to people like Iran and North Korea. Second, he's a great poker player, and he knows how to bluff. If he had been negotiating with Iraq, we would have had a 50-year agreement where the Iraqis send troops to police the streets of Washington on their dime. And finally, he'd pack the Congress with Corbomite, and he'd tell those rascals if they don't have a balanced budget by 0800 the next morning, he's going to detonate it and take out half of the quadrant. There's got to be a way. Scott, who's your second choice?
Well, you know, I'm just not playing by any of your rules today, man. The way I look at it, when the world's in a mess like this, some people blame God, you know. I blame myself. And by extension, I blame you guys and frankly, the rest of humanity. And since I don't expect the three of us or the rest of humanity to save the world, well, then that leaves God. And so my choice for savior of the world is actually the savior of the world, Jesus, who is called the Christ, as the scriptures say. You know, since I was the chief among the sinners and he saved me, I figure he can do it for put near anyone. And that said, though, I do need to seek Bill's forgiveness for something because you said the character had to be either fictional or dead, and I must confess that Jesus is real and he's alive. I hope you can forgive me.
Oh, nicely played, Scotty. When you said Jesus there, I thought you were reacting to the sound effect that we had. Freedom's Charter, that's Scott Ott's remarkable look at the Constitution, continues right here at PJTV. Steve, who are you saving for your second round draft pick?
Well, I want to give you a serious answer this time. I'd like to bring Thomas Jefferson back. He might have been, I think, the last Democrat to really understand what the Constitution was about. I think he would have a lot to say to today's Democrats. And, you know, they still claim him as their own, so they might even listen. And I think that would be his job. Jefferson was a much better thinker, writer, philosopher than he was as a president. So instead of reelecting him, and I guess he's not eligible anyway, instead of putting him back to office, I'd like him to have the ear of the president. I'd like him to testify before Congress. I'd like him to come back and be the conscience of the nation. 200 years later, I think he's still got a lot to say to us.
I had that thought many times about Jefferson. Come back and be the conscience of the nation. It's a great idea, Steve. You know, you can't swing a cat without hitting a Steve Green program here at PJTV. You can find him online at vodkapundit.com. I'll close with a man who continues to amaze me, and the more I learn about him, the more remarkable he becomes. And that man is George Washington. Now, here's a guy whose willingness to shoulder blame and suffer grievous personal hardships pretty much got us through the revolution single-handedly when Congress couldn't even stop arguing long enough to get food to his men. It's impossible for me to imagine the current president shouldering blame or enduring hardship of any kind. But the real 24-carat value of Washington was his understanding of the corrupting influence of power. He and Cincinnatus, maybe alone in history, knew enough about human nature and enough about their own vanity and ambition to see how corrupting power was and to walk away from it. Today, the president, any president, holds thousands of times more power than Washington did. And yet, our current president shows not the slightest sign of humility, modesty, determination, love of liberty, or strength of character. Now, I think getting out of this trouble is up to us now. And that's how it should be. For the entire PJTV team, I'm Bill Whittle.